Hey everyone, it's Luke here from LT Gaming and welcome back to the channel. Can you believe it's already been a year since Manor Lords hit early access? It honestly doesn't feel that long ago. I remember covering it when it first dropped and the hype was through the roof. Since then we've had updates, patches, new features, but also a fair bit of criticism. In fact, if you look at recent Steam reviews, they've dipped to around 77%, which is a noticeable shift from where the game started. So today I want to take a closer look at where Manor Lords stands 1 year later, what the dev team have shared about upcoming changes, and what I think the game really needs to win back some of that early magic. We all remember how excited we were for this title. At its core, Manor Lords is still delivering on what made it exciting in the first place. You've got deep city building, a historical focus that's more grounded than most medieval games, and a satisfying sense of shaping your own little medieval world. Let's be honest, there are still rough patches. The AI is of course a big one. Players have been frustrated by villagers getting stuck or even wandering off. The economic systems can feel unpolished, with trade and production chains not quite clicking together smoothly. And once you've built up your settlement, you've built a magnificent, amazing city, the late game can feel a bit repetitive without a lot of fresh challenges pulling you forward. So yeah, the foundation is solid, but the cracks are beginning to show. In their latest post on Steam, which is entitled 1 year later, the dev team gave us a sneak peek at what's coming, and there's some genuinely promising stuff in the works. First off, the team has grown. What started as pretty much a solo project now includes programmers, designers, artists, and an AI specialist. That's huge because it means there's more brainpower and hands on deck to tackle some of the game's deeper issues. On the AI side, the team has made progress. The AI can now actually build and manage its own little village, which wasn't possible before. Next up, they're working on making it smarter at city planning, farming, and eventually trading. That's a kind of change that could really shift how the world feels when you play. They're also adding a new upkeep system, where buildings will need a steady supply of tools or mines will need planks to keep running. It's a small change on paper, but it adds a layer of management that makes your economy feel more alive. There's also a new records view screen coming, which will give you a better overview of regional production and consumption, a big help for players who love diving into the numbers. And they've reworked things like approval balance, which should smooth out how your villagers react to events, and also castle pieces for better defensive construction, which I covered in the last video. On the technical side, they're testing some pretty ambitious pathfinding updates, including support for multi-level navigation. This means you could have people walking on top of gates and under them at the same time. They're not sure yet if it will be worth the performance cost, but just the fact they're looking at it shows they're pushing the system. Just a quick interlude to say most of you who watch the channel are not subscribed, so make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button because it helps smaller channels like us grow really quickly, and both me and Tom really appreciate it. Okay, so all of that sounds good, but let's take a step back. The reality is many players aren't just wanting more features, they want better execution on what's already there. It's one thing to say, hey, we're adding upkeep mechanics, but if the AI is still breaking or the game feels flat after a few hours, that's the real problem. I think the next phase of updates needs to focus less on adding more systems and more on polishing what already exists, such as making the AI feel less like a placeholder and more like a living part of the world, giving players something meaningful to work on toward in the late game, and above all, making sure the player experience feels smooth, not buggy or frustrating. The team has grown, which is a great sign, but now it's about delivering those player-facing improvements that will actually show up in reviews and word of mouth. Okay, let's think a little bigger here and do some blue sky thinking for what we'd like to see in the game in the future. What could push Manor Lords from solid early access game which was hugely hyped to something legendary in execution? For me, it's all about long-term immersive systems. Imagine if we got more dynamic rival lords or AI factions, adding diplomacy or conflict beyond your own village. Then there's seasonal or narrative events that shake up your strategy, harsh winters, bandit raids, political shifts. These could also take the form of dynamic weather events where they have impact on your actual conditions, such as drought and those harsh winters, which adds a strategic depth and challenge to resource management. And of course, expanded military mechanics where castles and fortifications actually tie into meaningful, large-scale conflict. Those advanced military features could also feature cannons and artillery in later stages, and the ability to train and manage cavalry units, bringing more complexity to combat. Going even deeper, the community has suggested enhanced religious mechanics, with clerics carrying out various roles, maybe even there are special events on holidays, and the possibility of constructing cathedrals or monasteries, adding layers to society management. And finally, wrapping up, improved resource management, maybe with some challenges to your logistical chains, and expanded entertainment options. We want to see festival squares, jesters, and musicians to boost citizen happiness and provide cultural depth. Basically, to summarize, we want features that layer on complexity over time, so the game keeps surprising you even after dozens of hours. The foundation is there, and the passion from both the dev team and the community is clear. But if Manor Lords really leans into its potential, it could be something players come back to for years, not just a few months. 1 year in, there's still a lot to be hopeful about, but there's also a lot riding on the next updates. What features or systems do you think would take the game to the next level? Drop a comment below, let's brainstorm together. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff for more strategy deep dives. I'll be here covering Manor Lords as it keeps evolving, and trust me, we've got a lot to look forward to. I've been Luke from LT Gaming, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.